is Wednesday. It is the 26th of March and it is 2025. And today is actually quite a momentous day because exactly 5 years ago, it is exactly 5 years ago, I think. No, about five. No, it's today. It's 26th of March, yeah. We were in lockdown. We went into a nationwide lockdown. It had been preceded by 4 days, I think, 4 or 5 days of sort of tier lockdown, but we went into nationwide lockdown this day, 26th of March, 2020, 5 years ago, Josh. So we were all locked down. No cars were traveling, Josh. And there was this, well, a sense, I think, initially that we were on all some sort of holiday on the 26th of March. We weren't enormously distressed by that. Well, when I say we weren't, I imagine restaurant owners, bar retailers, wholesalers, a whole series of people were. For farmers, I suspect they were thinking, oh, well, I'm not on holiday. I've got to go and still do my stuff. But there were others like golf courses that just went, oh, what do you mean? And you can't mow the, no, you can't do anything. There was that. So 5 years ago today, 26th of March, we went into nationwide lockdown. Do you know we stayed in that lockdown for 2 months, Josh? Until the 27th of May.
Yeah,
Two
it felt
months.
a lot longer than that. Jeez,
It
It
does.
was a long time.
Well, the weather, if you remember, was benign during much of that time. And people would sit out. And initially, it was all a bit of fun, you'd have to say, for most of us. For most of us, it was, oh. Having said that, I'll tell you who it wasn't fun for, and that was teenagers and children. And there were also confusion, if you remember at that time, Josh, about what you could and couldn't do. Remember that? Can I
Yeah.
walk outside the neighbourhood? Can I? You weren't allowed to get into proximity to anyone. And there was still a debate at that time, if you remember, Josh, about masks. Because
That's right.
the Director General of Health had said, well, you don't need to wear masks. They're not of much use. That advice would then become later on, you've got to wear masks and you won't get one. They didn't also at that time have passes. Remember, you have to have your passes then.
No,
Um,
no, they hadn't introduced it yet. And the
it's,
mask thing, when they did introduce that, it was just it was just a face covering. It wasn't
that's
a mask
correct.
in particular.
That's right. And then I remember having Professor Baker on my show. Gosh, this was 2 years later. Must have been May 2022 when we first started the platform. Saying you may as well not wear your blue mask. They're of no use at all. Remember that? The white masks that encompass, everything.
Yeah, they wanted
And
you to get one of those
get one of those.
N95
Yeah,
masks, I
that's
think,
right.
weren't
But
they?
they
Yeah.
cost money and stuff like that. But the blue masks, which they gave away for free. And the other thing was, remember, you were going to stop the spread of COVID by sanitizer. Remember that, Josh? Sanitizer was going to stop the spread of COVID. I say all this today because this week, the former Director General of Health, Sir, and I don't think he deserves this knighthood, just quietly, Ashley Bloomfield gave a rare interview, it has to be said, with obviously sympathetic media. And in this particular case, he chose Paddy Gower, who is sort of hovering around the fringe of stuff, I think, somewhere there, to give that interview too. And it is the most appalling interview I think I've ever seen a public figure give for its incredible lack of intellectual and emotional insight. I think it could only be rivaled by Jacinda Ardern, for example. And now I see it, I can see that Jacinda Ardern and Ashley Bloomfield were birds of the same feather. They were yin and yang. They were the male and female version of each other, really. Because when you saw the interview with Ashley Bloomfield, given 5 years after he essentially became the dictator, the public health dictator of New Zealand, aided and abetted by a totalitarian regime under Jacinda Ardern. When you saw that interview, And unfortunately, I saw all of it, and then I went and saw it again just because I'm sure that I got that wrong. But I actually took down the phrases that he gave in terms of the questions that he was asked. And I don't blame Paddy Gower for having him on at all, not at all. And I don't blame Paddy Gower for asking questions that you might reasonably ask. Where Paddy, I think, fell down dreadfully is that he didn't then challenge some of those answers, but that's okay. At least he put the question there. Here came the answer. And I guess the spirits of journalism, those listening, watching, had the ability to form their own opinion or impression. Unfortunately, I did. The remarkable thing, though, if I can say about Sir Ashley Bloomfield's, because he's been knighted, of course, his particular take on that particular period is the incredible answers to quite easy questions that he gave, which demonstrate a hubris in the man that you would not think existed necessarily in the persona if you were just to judge him on his physical appearance. You wouldn't think that he had that amount of hubris. I don't know whether he had that when he was Director General of Health 5 years ago, or if he acquired it during the COVID period, or being a Pooh Bar knighthood at the end of it, just sort of added the exclamation point. But if you actually look at the interview, his stunning lack of intellectual and emotional insight is the first thing that grabs you. I'll give you some examples of that, shall I? What were you most proud of? He was asked one of the questions by Paddy Gower, and it was, I was most proud of making big decisions with little information. Sorry? I was most proud of making big decisions with little information. Okay, you were proud of that, were you? All right, well, what would you do differently now? Wait for this. What would you do differently now if you'd gone through that whole period again? What would you do differently now? Do you know what his answer was? I'd keep a diary. I'd keep a diary because it's all been a bit of a blur. What? So your only thing that you would have changed is that you would have kept a personal diary, because now, 5 years after the event, it's all a bit of a blur. And you could have gone back and you go, oh God, look at that. I made that big decision, didn't have a clue what I was doing, made it though. Look at that. Oh God, I'm so happy. If I could have recorded that on the 1st of September 2020 or something like that. I suppose that was his answer to the question. And then he was asked another question. What did you get wrong? Now, this is a good one. What did you get wrong? I'm giving you a second chance to answer the second question properly, so I'm going to ask you this third question. What did you get wrong? Well, people's tolerance waned as things went by, he said. Sort of not nothing I did wrong. It's people's tolerance, just the masses, the hoi polloi, the public, those distasteful individuals that massive ignorance over there. Their tolerance waned, he said. And then he went on and said, we could have listened more, he said. But what he meant by we could have listened more was immediately refined by we could have told them, this is the hoi polloi, the public, the ignorant masses, a bit more about the pros and cons of what we were doing. We didn't do anything wrong, he was saying. It's just that we could have explained to you ignorant masses in language that you might have understood or you might not have, what we were doing and why. Given the choice to say, what did you get wrong? What did you do wrong? What would you do differently next time? We now know that Ashley Bloomfield would have only done one thing differently from anything he did over the last 5 years, or after that period of lockdown and its consequent years and of totalitarian imposition. He would have kept a diary. Oh my God, dear Lord. And there you go. I did nothing wrong. I made really big decisions based on no information at all. I'm really proud of that. Oh, and he did say one other thing, though, that he would have looked after his staff more. Not about I've looked after New Zealand more, not after businesses more, not after kids' education more, not after health more, where all those operations were cancelled, not after people who were denied the opportunity to see their dying loved ones. No, not those who were shut out. I wouldn't have changed any of that. I wouldn't have changed any of that, says Ashley Bloomfield. But damn it, I would have kept a diary, and I would have been much kinder to my own staff. I was sure that some of them got a bit burned out later on. The fact that the whole of New Zealand was burned out and flaming, and the economy with it. Here we go. I think it's probably redolent, illustrative, incredibly representative of the upper echelons of the public sector and the bureaucracy in Wellington, this particular Ashley Bloomfield. I'm pretty sure that the Ashley Bloomfields is being cloned and they run the public sector still of this country. They're the head of all the departments, the State Services Commission and the like. They are, in essence, individuals who really do believe that they are an incredible elite, intellectually able with leadership skills that really no one else possesses except them, and with the ability to be able to explain to individuals in language that we're not going to explain it because you wouldn't understand. It's just too complex, too complicated. Doesn't matter. It's all right. I'll keep a diary while you guys just keep on don't doing anything. Basically, we've ruined the economy. We've ruined education. We've ruined literally thousands, hundreds of thousands of people's lives. We've ruined the public health system because it still hasn't recovered from COVID, and we've completely screwed the economy. But it doesn't matter. If I had to do it all again, I'd keep a diary. There you go. That was Ashley Bloomfield. And 5 years ago, has he learned anything? Well, yes, he has. If he was to do it again, he'd probably ask for a better knighthood next time. Oh, and the diary. Meanwhile, Jacinda Ardern, at the same time, 5 years later, has just been asked to join the very prestigious Blavatnik School of Government World Leaders Circle at Oxford University. She's not coming home. She's going to join other luminaries who have extraordinary leadership skills, like former British Prime Minister and the complete failure Rishi Sunak. So I guess a whole series of people who got thrown out of power and who managed to delegitimize their own democracies, and Rishi Sunak is the only one apparently that's been measured as being part of this Blavatnik school of government, are going to be able to join Jacinda Ardern, where presumably they'll commiserate with people like themselves, and to be fair, they'll bring in Ashley and say, God, people are ignorant, aren't they? You know, if only they'd understood that we had their best interests at mind, and they were very intolerant by the end, weren't they? Here we are making these massive decisions based on absolutely no information at all. We were groping around in the dark, changing people's lives and entire country directions, and here they were getting intolerant about it. Very bad form, Rishi, very bad form. They threw us out. They've got no respect, those people. God, democracy's dreadful. Why can't we go back to the good old times, pre-Enlightenment, when a group of people, an aristocratic few, governed the world with a benign judgment, at the same time making sure they were well looked after, and, as Ashley says, keeping a diary. Oh, the other thing about Ashley Bloomfield I almost forgot, is that he did say people like him are going to be needed again, because there's another pandemic on the way. Apparently bird flu in the United States of America is spreading. Spooky stuff's coming. The zombie apocalypse is probably going to be in New Zealand within the next 5 years, at which case I imagine that this time Ashley has got his diary and his pen at ready, waiting to be called on again by peoples whose tolerance, frankly, could learn a bit of instruction in the meantime, as the next pandemic's on its way, courtesy of Ashley Bloomfield's interpretation of the world. Oh, and we let these people in charge of us. Not anymore. Those are my thoughts this morning. What are yours?